Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk. State of the Broncos, Chiefs, and Steelers. And we have the Bengals take this week as well from our guy Finn. I'm going to start with the Broncos here. Broncos get a win over Kansas City, 20-13. We had boots on the ground for that game. Great game. The Chiefs, the Chiefs had no give up at all. Even walking out of the stadium, everybody was still doing the Arrowhead chant. I mean, I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, even when your team is obviously out of it and your third-string quarterback's playing, you still got pride in your team, and I thought that was pretty cool environment to be a part of. There was a lot of Broncos fans there as well, so, it also could have been the Broncos fans mocking the Chiefs. I mean, either way, I thought it was still cool because I saw quite a few Chiefs fans doing it as well, so I thought it was a fun environment to be a part of. But 2013, this game was the story of the Broncos season. We play up or down to our competition. I mean, we beat the Raiders 24-17, but then we beat the hot Green Bay Packers 34-26. The Jaguars kind of ran away on us, but then we beat the Commanders in overtime 27-26. But then we score 44 against the Cowboys, and then we beat the Chiefs when they were still in it, and we play to our competition level. And then we've been playing with fire all year. And that is what it is at this point. I mean, that is I guess Sean Payton football, our brand of football this year, and I'm fine with it. RJ Harvey's really coming into his own. I mean, scored another touchdown this last week. What a great second-round pick by Sean Payton and the boys. That front office, George Patton. I think, and this week we're playing for the 1 seed. We beat the Chargers. We're in. The Chargers are resting their guys. So I think we lock up the 1 seed, which is absolutely crazy. That I had us going 14-3, but I thought there would be a team better than 14-3 that were going to get that 1 seed. And we have a great chance to hit my prediction right on the head and go 14-3 and lock up the 1 seed, which I did not have. I had us as the 5 seed. Initial preseason picks. But I'm excited for this game. I think the Broncos win, and then it gives us a 1 week bye, and then we play whoever's the lowest seed left, which will be hopefully. I'm trying to think where the seeding would be. Hopefully it's not the Texans. I'd rather play the Jags again. And hopefully it'd be cold when they play them. And I don't.
Well, it could be it's funny with the wild cards. It could be the Jags, the Texans, or the Bills.
Yeah,
so,
that's
what you win for getting the 1 seed.
Yeah, you get the 1 seed there, but I'm excited for sure. Obviously, just the opportunity to get the 1 seed will be awesome. We lock up the West, first time in 10 years since when Peyton was still there, when went to the Super Bowl and won it. I think this team. We play up and down to our competition. I think we've been playing with fire all year, but I think given when it's playoff time, I think we'll pull out. I hope Bo Nix gets his first. I think Bo Nix gets his first playoff win. All the teams that we talked about, we beat the Texans with the last-second kick. We lost the Jags in a rough way, but that game didn't really go our way. And then last year, we get blown out by the Bills in the first round of the playoffs. So I think, there's a little bit of animosity there. And obviously we've seen I'm guessing they've seen and we've seen the Bills play this year, that they're not the same Bills as they were last year. This team's down, they're hurting. It's very well a possibility to get our playoff win and kick Josh Allen or –
especially with some offensive line injuries, too, for
the
Bills.
And the Bills, and we're getting our guys back. And obviously, RJ's coming in his own. I already said that, but I'm excited for this playoff run we're looking at. I'm happy that we're at where we're at. And no matter how the season ends, I'll still be ecstatic because it's only up from here because this is our last year of Russell Wilson cap hit. And then, there's another $30 million we can go throw at some weapons or shore up the defense a little bit or – add depth in a lot of positions.
And they probably Nick's probably plays 1 more year under his 4-year contract.
Yeah. And then we'll re-up him.
Cheap. Yeah.
So, this is no matter where we're at this year, I think, look, we're in a great place. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the Chargers game. Just, we lock up the 1 seed. It'll be really nice to have a bye week when, everybody was, even myself included, not thinking that the 1 seed was even in play for us to start the season, but here we are. That's all I got. I'm excited to see where it goes here.
Yeah, when I was talking to T-Bone a couple weeks ago, one of our conversations was if by statistics the Broncos had locked up the 1 seed with a win against Kansas City, it would be, do you rest your players when you play the Chargers that week? Because then you would play on December 25th.
Yeah.
Then you have 10 days, and then you rest all of your players, and then you have the bye, and then you come back in. So it's like 20-some days without having, your guys even taking, a snap. He says, I don't know if I like that. I mean, I think guys need to come out there and take repetitions, and they need to stay hungry for it. Well, now that's not a question. I mean, I think that we've all talked about how the Broncos are going to more than likely win this game. I don't know what happens for the Chargers to come out there and get this win, but I think you get some snaps, some reps out there, and stay hungry, stay enthusiastic, and then it is important to have the number 1 seed in that bye, because that's one game you don't have to win to get you to the dance. So I like where they're sitting. So I'm excited for the state of the Broncos.
Plus,
for sure.
how tough of a place Denver is to play.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, I mean, when we played the Jags, it was like 70 degrees out, which is Jacksonville weather. So, I mean, if Jacksonville does come back, it's going to be like hopefully freezing. And, that's more Denver football, and that's Sean Payton football. Hey, we're going to run the crap out of this football and run the RPOs at you, and you got to come and stop it every single time. Yeah. And our rush game all year has been, big time bend, don't break. You might stop us the first 4 times we run this play, but the 5th time we run it, we're going to break it for a 20-yard run. So I'm excited to see where we're at. Our defense, I'm not worried about our defense. We've regressed a little bit here late, but I think we get geared up for the late season run here just fine. That's all I got. I'm happy to see him play in person. Christmas Day, had my friends around me, had these guys here, so it was pretty fun. So, Twitch, what is the state of the Steelers rolling into Week 18? Already twitching about it.
I am. Obviously 9-7, they win, they get in, they get to host a playoff game. T.J. Watt still questionable. Darnell Washington with a broken arm, who's been kind of a key piece to our offense over the last couple of months for Aaron Rodgers. It's been nice the last week and a half, to see Pat Freiermuth get a lot more involved, just because I feel like he's borderline tight end when he was given the opportunity his first couple of years, and then just bad quarterback play, injuries last year, beginning of this year. I feel like he just kind of gets shoved down. So, they've got to get Freiermuth, and then Calvin Austin might be coming back this week. Last week, it just seemed like Pittsburgh definitely had their chances. I know Cleveland doesn't have an all-world offense, but 2 different times. One of them was Nick Herbig, who came back off after injury, who's been a superstar in his own right, playing with Alex Highsmith and T.J. Watt. Herbig's been a big player since we drafted him a couple years ago, and dropped a pick 6 right in his hands. So, defense has got to hang on to the ball, got to make plays, but hopefully getting some reinforcements back this week. If you're Pittsburgh, your only chance is shutting down the run, and then by committee, because I don't feel like they have a wide receiver. So it's getting Adam Thielen. 2 weeks ago he had 4 catches for 40 yards, dropped a couple passes against Cleveland, but really need to open up on the offense. I don't know how much to take of that was just not having the weapons and being covered, or how much was it trying to prevent? Because it definitely did feel like, I don't know if they were calling it that way, but there was, anytime Garrett got even close, they were already checking down, even though it meant losing 3 yards on the play. But, state of the Steelers, I said, it'll be see who steps up at wide receiver this week. Personally, I said, I won't spend a lot of time. I said, but this happens every year. I said, my uncle will back me up here. Greg will back me up. That I haven't always been this pessimistic of a Steelers fan, but like I said, over the last 8 or 9 years, it's not that I'm literally Rain Man or I'm that smart. It's just this is how it is every year. Losing to Cleveland last week, yes, I feel like that was a really bad missed pass interference call. The defensive back didn't even turn around for Cleveland, and was all over him before Scantling even touched the ball. So how that wasn't called, I don't know. But I wasn't that upset about it because of how we played before that. But I also thought that could have been a taunting call too on the Browns. Yeah. But that being said, really feel like we're going to struggle. Even if we shut down Henry what's that look like? 150 and 2 touchdowns. Pittsburgh, losing that game, now has lost 6 straight games to teams with 8 more losses than wins. When we played them, it's not just they finished the year, when we played them. And this is the Mike Tomlin special. It's like I said earlier this year, like we talked about last week. I'm like, I was playing my fan card. I'm like, okay, have a little bit of faith. You got the division on the line, and Cleveland's not that great, so we'll make enough plays. But I said last week, it was exactly, I'm like, I didn't give us a chance against Detroit. We win that game. Everyone's like, oh, Cleveland for the division. Like, you guys will have that wrapped up. No, that's exactly why. I was like, completely laid an egg. I've said this before, too. I think Mike Tomlin's probably a decent human. I think he's a good human being. I think he's got a good story. I think he took the talent that Bill Cowher took. I said, but other than having Ben Bell and Brown and Martavis Bryant, other than that, like our defense was shit that year, which is why we allowed 45 points to Blake Bortles. But Pittsburgh's got a good defense. Pittsburgh, I've seen this before. I said, let's say, 2024 and 2014, we played the Ravens. We played the Browns in 2020. I forget what year we played with the Bengals on the line. But we've played these games with the game on the line or first round of the playoffs against divisional opponents, and every single time it's turned out we come out playing flat. I'm not saying we're going to come out flat, but I feel like we're not going to win. And I will say I saw something today. I've not been reading much into it because I'm like, part of me is like, okay, this is the same story. Pittsburgh's got to be tired. They haven't been really competitive. They're not beating the good teams. Second, I mean, look at the playoff teams they played this year. I mean, yeah, they beat the Patriots week 3, but other than that, look what happened when they got absolutely smoke showed on Sunday Night Football against the Chargers. They got smoke showed against the Packers. They got absolutely dominated by the Bills. So I'm hoping that, and that sounds terrible to say, people are like, oh, Mike Tomlin won't have a job tomorrow. Let him. Because I said there's about 12 to 14 other head coaches I'd rather have right now in today's NFL than what Mike Tomlin is. So if you could call him an elite coach, I would much rather have McVay. I'd rather have Shanahan. I'd rather have Dan Campbell. I'd rather have Ben Johnson. I'd rather have Andy Reid. I'd rather have Sean Payton. So this whole thing is like, you can't lose your job. Marty Schottenheimer, you talked about earlier back in the 90s. Mike Shanahan. Mike Holmgren, taking both teams to Super Bowls. Bill Parcells. Bill Belichick. I mean, granted, they had a couple terrible last 2 years. But if those guys, Andy Reid, if those guys can lose their job, I got off a track a minute ago. What I was going to say was I looked at it today, and there was a legitimate insider from Pittsburgh's Sports Talk saying, depending on how Sunday turns out, especially if they get blown out, that this really could be Tomlin's last game, that he could either go to another team or join TV. I said, but this sounds terrible. Like, how can you say that as a Steelers fan? So half of Pittsburgh country is probably pissed off at me for saying this. Like, how can you be a diehard? But, like, part of me hopes, because I don't think like we're going to go, if we make it to the playoffs and win this game, I don't think we're beating a Houston or a Buffalo or a Jacksonville. So I almost want to see it happen. I'd rather have a couple 7 and 10 years and do something aggressively than watch the same shit over and over and not even be anywhere near contender. So where we're at, win, you get in, you're at home, then you get to host a playoff game. Still got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers knows it's probably his last year, so hopefully you get the best. That's something that, I'm hopeful about, that maybe with Aaron Rodgers, being sentimental and his nostalgic in his last game, yeah, he pulls one off. But I feel like Baltimore's going to win. They're going to win by running the football. We'll come out flat. We could be seeing this could be the end of Mike Tomlin, who's top 10 by the time he finished his career, like top 10 in wins, win percentage, like a lot of things. Won a Super Bowl with us, took us to 2. Thank you for all you've done. But especially if this game gets out of hand. But like I said, I'm not just hating on my own team. I don't know where our strength is, and I don't see us stopping the run and being able to score enough points. So,
yeah, interesting. That game will be an interesting one to watch for sure, especially being prime time. LSV, you got a State of the Chiefs this week, or about the same as last week?
Nah, I mean, see what happens in the off season. My biggest thing is, where do we go in our draft? Where do we go with available free agents? What do we do with some of the people that, do we pick up Travis for another year? I don't know. I'm not worried about what happens with the Chiefs next year. I couldn't. Yeah, well, that was. I listened to a lot of 610 sports talk on the road from my job, and that was a lot of the conversation was in Veach we trust, and he did not hit really well this last year in free agency or the draft. But you have 1 year that you don't just dominate, and I don't think you jump off that ship. I mean, let's just see what we got. And so we won some pretty big games. Like we won big championship games with no names, and so
You still have 15.
yeah. So I'm not down and out on Kansas City. This was a disappointing year in multiple weeks with the losses that we suffered, and I don't think that that's ever healthy. But I don't think we're miles away from getting back in. I don't think it's a rebuild year. I think it's a figure out a few key pieces, and then and then come back and just play football.
Well,
So,
and we talked about this before in the podcast, so I'm sorry to beat a dead horse or repeat ourselves. But like, what was Kansas City last year in one-score games? Like 11-1. It was just like you said. You talked about it earlier about sometimes it's skill and talent, and some of it's just the ball going your way. And I don't feel like whatever Kansas City was in one-score games this year. But you look at both games against the Chargers, the Texans, the Eagles, the Jaguars. The first time, both games against the Broncos. So both against the Chargers and the Broncos. So like, how many games did they lose by one score? So I don't feel like that happens next year. I feel like they make enough adjustments. I do think it's Kelsey's last year, but I feel like they go out and replace and get a stud running back, and I think they'll figure it out. And the thing that's scary about that is a team that's won 3 Super Bowls in the last decade, like, they're going to be the underdogs in their own division next year, and you don't think they're going to be motivated and like play to that? They're going to be playing the third place in the division schedule, so they'll play the third place in an AFC North team like the Bengals. They'll play the AFC. You know what I mean? They're playing an easier schedule, and I don't think they're going to go. I don't know what their record is. I'm just throwing a number out there, but they're not going to go 1-10 this year in one-score games. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think Kelsey Gronk's it here. I think Kelsey, retires at the end of this year, and he hangs out. And I mean, Gronk retired, and I'm not saying he's going to go play for another team after like a year, but I could see him, sitting out a year, letting the body recover, just hanging out, because let the quote rebuild or like the retooling happen. I can see him coming back and definitely playing with Mahomes again, because obviously LSV hit on it earlier, but I mean that's his boy. I mean, obviously you hear the story of like the first night. Or not the first night, but like the last days of OTA, Mahomes' rookie year, they were out in the club partying together, and then they were both late to the practice, and like that's just, that was one of the first stories you heard about the two of them. And you're like, okay, well this might be something, and then you see like the chemistry they have on the field, and there's off-season videos of them hanging out, riding jet skis, and playing golf, and doing all.
Well, Kelsey was a security blanket for the last.
Yeah, he's just been a dude. So, I mean, I could definitely see Kelsey running it back, or I could see him pulling a Gronk and retiring and then coming back for his guy when he needs him. Very much so, because that's exactly what Gronk did. Gronk said, nah, I'm going to retire. And then, because they were trying to train him to the Lions.
That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, he just goes, hangs out, and then, if they get hot at the end of next year, maybe he comes out of retirement and gives Mahomes that blanket, or, he sits the year if they're not really looking too hot, and then he comes back the next year and has another, what we think is a Kelsey-type year. But I'm excited to see what he decides either way. It'll be big breaking news no matter what he does. But
Yeah,
He's earned that either way.
yeah, he I mean,
It's
whatever he
not all
does
the-
deserves all the respect.
the Kelsey Swift stories for the last 2 years just kind of subside and let him have some personal time. That may be, like you said, that personal time off to, live his personal life a little bit.
Yeah, go get married to a billionaire and go have a 6-month honeymoon and
Go keep exploring movie, TV career.
yeah, you
on
do
top
whatever.
of-
Like just go hang out for a while, man, and then just stay in football shape. And when we need you in December, come back and play.
One of the most successful, biggest podcasts.
Yeah.
Your brother's pretty cool.
Yeah, your
Pretty
brother.
funny.
Your brother seems like a guy I want to drink a beer with. I mean,
I love Travis Kelsey, but Jason Kelsey's even cooler.
yeah.
So,
But Finn, what is you got the state of the Bengals for us here?
Close out our regular season podcast.
I definitely say that the Bengals are going to need to get some offensive line, some defense. I'd say we trade like a Trey Hendrickson for like a Trey Smith or a Creed Humphrey. And definitely draft a defensive player some defensive players that can definitely help the defense. Definitely just try maybe get a running back. And then you got like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I forgot his first name, but Isavias, the tight end.
I don't even know.
And
We don't watch the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy.
Because they suck. But Chase Brown is another one.
yeah. And
I-
I think if we balance that defense, we could get possible 10-7.
And obviously, you need a healthy Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
That's what we haven't seen.
offensive line and defense, I think, will be the two biggest things for you guys by far. Because, like I said, you lose over half of those 10 games, 6 or 7 of them, in the final minute. The final minute. If you win half of those, you're probably winning the division. And when Burrow wasn't healthy. On top of, we saw what Cincinnati was at the beginning of the year, and even though they ended up losing that game to Buffalo, look how scared everybody was when they beat the crap out of the Ravens the first time on Thanksgiving and then turned around, and then how they started off that game against Buffalo. When those guys are healthy and Burrow's healthy and they give him time, they can compete with anybody.
So definitely
Defense.
defense and offensive line.
And a whole new city because Cincinnati sucks.
That's coming from a resident Steelers fan. Might not be a Steelers fan if they win this week. We'll see what happens.
I still stay on the bandwagon.
But that concludes Twitch and Buck Sports Talk. State of the Steelers, Chiefs, Broncos, and Bengals. That's our last one of the regular season, boys.
Yeah,
So-
so
fun.
next week.
Yeah, after this next week, we'll be talking about who's left in the playoffs. So this might just be a pod I record in the Jeep on the way home. So, state of the Broncos, but excited to see what happens either way for all these teams that are involved here. For me and Twitch's team, see where the playoffs shake out for both of us, and then looking to the future for the Bengals for sure. And then, I mean, I hope Kansas City sucks, but they're not going to because they have this quarterback named Patrick Mahomes at the helm.
He's
so
still pretty good.
Yeah, he's decent at the game of football. He's all right. I mean, but
Quit making babies, man. Focus on your career.
Right.
appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate all the support this year. Be on the lookout for the longer podcast, the Twitch and Buck Sports Talk Week 18 edition, and then be on the lookout for this tomorrow morning. Appreciate everybody. Hope you all have a great week.